The Leafs have been a disappointment for far too long now, so I'm taking over as GM for the next 10 seasons, and I'm going to get this team a Stanley Cup. We'll hopefully get them a Stanley Cup. They're still the Toronto Maple Leafs, so if we make it out of the first round, I'll be pretty surprised. It's not going to take too long, and we're making a few moves. Jake Muzzin, I'm going to send you to the Coyotes for 2 third-round picks, and Michael Bunting, 5-year extension at $2.75 million. I feel like that's going to be a pretty solid deal for us. At the 50-game mark, the team's looking pretty solid with a 24-13-4 record, and we're sitting 8th in the entire league. And Austin Matthews are looking pretty solid so far, 28 goals and 24 assists for 52 points, while Samsonov, he's picking up 19 wins with a .912 save percentage and 266 goals against. And with those numbers, I got to give you an extension. 6 years at $5.8 million, you're going to be the goaltender of the future for us. At the trade deadline, the team's looking fantastic with a 36-20-6 record, so I think we got to make at least one move, and that move's going to have us sending a second, a third, and a prospect to the Anaheim Ducks for John Klingberg. When the season came to an end, we're going to falter a bit, finishing with a 42-31-9 record, and that's good enough for 12th in the entire league. So over the next 20-ish games, we only won 6. Yeah, things aren't looking too good. Austin Matthews, he's going to lead the team at the end of the season with 45 goals and 41 helpers for 86 points, while Samsonov, he's going to pick up 35 wins with a .917 save percentage and 253 goals against. Looking at the entire league, Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid are going to be leading the way as they're both going to be tied with 105 points, while Thatcher Demko, he's leading all goaltenders in wins with 43, while posting a .919 save percentage and 247 goals against. So in the postseason, something remarkable is happening. We're making it out of the first round. We ended up falling in the second round to Tampa, but who cares? We finally got out of the first round, and that's a bit of progress for this team. John Tavares, you led the team in postseason scoring, and honestly, the numbers are actually pretty disappointing. 4 goals and 3 assists for 7 points in 12 games. So the top scorer on this team had 7 points in 12 postseason games. We're not going to be able to win a Stanley Cup with those type of numbers. Jacob Voracek, these are the type of numbers you win a Stanley Cup with. But in saying that, you didn't win a Stanley Cup yourself. 9 goals, 14 assists, 23 points, and Connor Hellebuyck, you did win a Stanley Cup. 16 wins, a .935 save percentage, and 206 goals against. Great work, my guy. Taking a look at the draft lottery results, the Sharks are going to get the first overall pick, where the Penguins are going to jump from 11 to 2. We had 4 picks in the upcoming draft, but that means we're making some moves. I'm going to trade Matt Murray in a 7th rounder to the Predators for a 3rd and a 5th, and then Brody, you're off to Minnesota for a Hartman and a 3rd. The 79th overall pick is going to be packaged up with a future 3rd and 4th over to the LA Kings for the 41st overall pick, and with that pick, we're going to draft Sontag, a low elite defensive defenseman. We ended up having another elite prospect in the draft, and that's going to be Nielsen, who's going to be a low elite 2-way defenseman. And our final move to cap off the draft is going to be the 180th overall picks off to Vancouver for a 5th and a prospect. I don't really care about the prospect, I just wanted a future 5th. Now it's time to give out some extensions and then make some moves. Klingberg, I'm going to give you a 6-year deal at $6.75 million. I feel like you're going to be a good offensive defenseman for us. Calgren, 2 years at $1 million. William Nylander, a 6-year extension at $8.7 million, but we're making a move with you. I'm going to send William Nylander along with 3 third-round picks and a 7th over to the San Jose Sharks for Timo Meier. Now at face value, this seems like a terrible deal, but I think bringing in a power forward like Timo Meier is going to be incredibly useful for us, and he better be useful because at $10.2 million per year for the next 5 years, I want to see some production out of you. The signings continue with Rasmus Sedin, 5 years at $4.75 million, and Hartman at $2.35 million for the next 2 seasons. So I would say this team's in a similar spot to last season. Our defense is looking slightly questionable outside that top pairing, but I think Samsonov could pick up the slack. But before we get into this season, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe. I'm trying to pass the Dallas Stars in YouTube subscribers, but currently 76% of the people watching these videos right now aren't subscribed. These type of videos take a long time to make, so any type of support would be greatly appreciated. So if you haven't already, make sure you drop a like, subscribe, turn notifications on, and let's pass the Dallas Stars. And Austin Matthews also wants 16 M's per season. That's not happening. If he doesn't lower what he's asking for, he will be traded. So I decided I'll simulate 10 games and see if he changes his mind. And he did change his mind, so I'm going to get him at $10 million per year for the next 8 seasons. That's $1 million less per season than his current contract. So I'd say that's an absolute steal for us. At the 50 game mark, the team's looking pretty solid, 28-18-4, but we're sitting 12th in the entire league. Austin Matthews, fairly similar to last season, 25 goals and 29 assists for 54 points, while Samsonov, he's having a great season as well, 22 wins, a .911 save percentage, and 268 goals against. Heading towards the trade deadline, we're sitting at a 34-22-4 record, and I think we can make at least one move, so I'm going to send a 4th and 5th round pick over to the Detroit Red Wings for David Perron. At the end of the year, the Leafs are looking absolutely fantastic with a 48-29-5 record, and we're sitting 5th in the entire league. And Austin Matthews, another great season from you, 90 points consisting of 41 goals and 49 assists, while Samsonov's going to hold it down net, 39 wins, a .917 save percentage, and a 255 goals against. Looking at the entire league, Nathan McKinnon's going to be leading the way with 98 points, while Thatcher Demko, once again, he's leading all goaltenders in wins with 42. In the playoffs, we're going to have a similar result to last season, and that means we're getting out the first round, but we're falling to Tampa in the second round once again. This team might become the new Boston Bruins to us. I'm just going to keep it 100. The boys are definitely performing much better in the postseason this time around. Austin Matthews is leading the way with 8 goals and 8 assists for 16 points in 12 games, but Brad Marchand, he's going to be the top postseason scorer, 31 points consisting of 12 goals and 19 assists, while Connor Hellebuyck, he's bringing home back-to-back Stanley Cups with a .935 save percentage percentage and a 203 goals against. Heading into the draft, we have 4 picks, but this draft wasn't as eventful for us. We're trading the 185th overall pick along with the 7th rounder to the Rangers for the 84th, and with that 84th overall pick, we're drafting Gilroy, a low elite two-way defenseman. And the other move we're making in the draft is sending the 156th overall pick along with the future 6th to the Calgary Flames for the 86th, and with that pick, we're going to draft Markstrom, a low elite defensive defenseman. So before we get into next season, there's a handful of moves we got to make. Liljegren, 2 years at $2.5 million, David Perron, $2.6 million per year for 1 season, Mitch Marner, you're going to get a 6-year extension at $9.8 million, and John Tavares, I didn't plan on bringing you back, but for 2 years at $7.1 million, that's definitely a contract I can live with. Wenberg, 2 years at $1 million, Lindgren, a 3x3, and then I'm going to send a prospect along with a 4th to the Rangers for Kravitsaw, and then Yarkro's off to the Oilers for Puljujarvi, and then Kravitsaw, a 5-year extension at $2.75 million. But the moves aren't done there, they're going to be done after this move. Puljujarvi, Perron, and Clifton off to the Canes for Kotkaniemi. I think it's time to accept the fact that this team needs to be retooled. We have some nice pieces to build around, but I just don't think we have enough right now. But for now, let's try to win a Stanley Cup. Alright, it looks like I clearly know nothing. 34, 12, and 4 at the 50-game mark, and we're first in the entire league. We don't need to be retooled, let's just win a cup. Mitch Marner, he's currently leading the way with 69 points, but all I care about is Austin Matthews' goal numbers. He's got 41 goals in 50 games. Yeah, this team's looking elite right now. And with Samsonov holding it down net, 26 wins, a 909 save percentage, and 279 goals against, we might finally be able to win a Stanley Cup. But before that, we got to make some moves, and I got to improve the defense. So I'm going to trade Engvall along with 2 5ths to the Seattle Kraken for Adam Larson, and then Hartman and a 6 is off to the Buffalo Sabres for Jack Quinn. And then after trading for Jack Quinn, he's getting an extension, 5 years at $2.4 million. If he can become a top 6 forward for us, this is going to be an incredible contract. When the season came to an end, we're looking great with a 50, 23, and 9 record, and we're second in the entire league. Mitch Marner, an incredible season from you, my guy. 21 goals, 73 assists, 94 points, and Samsonov, 37 wins, a 917 save percentage, and 256 goals against. Let's go get a Stanley Cup. Before we get into the playoffs, though, we got to check out David Pastrnak because he's leading the entire league in points, 36 goals and 64 assists for 100 points. With Tristan Jarry, he's going to lead all goaltenders in wins with 44 while posting a 912 save percentage and a 260 goals against. This is the last time this happens to us. We're falling in the second round, and we're falling to the Boston Bruins. I refuse to lose in the second round any longer. We're rebuilding the team. We're going to retool everything we have, and we're getting ourselves a Stanley Cup because right now we clearly can't win with the core we have. Mitch Marner, you're having an okay postseason where you're potting 5 goals and picking up 8 assists for 13 points, but that couldn't compete with McDavid's whatsoever. 15 goals, 21 assists, 36 points in 23 games. Yeah, he was locked in, and so was Jack Campbell, 16 wins, a 919 save percentage, and 258 goals against. Taking a look at the draft lottery results, with the Calgary Flames pick, Montreal's jumping from 10 to 1. We had 4 picks in the draft, and we're making a bunch of moves. So Jung's going to be drafted. He's going to be a low elite sniper for us. Lundqvist is off to the Caps with the 119th overall pick and 215th. The 215th packaged up with a 7th rounder is going to get us the 75th overall pick, and then a prospect's off to the Bruins for the 191st. With the 75th overall pick, we're drafting Smith, a low elite potential sniper. Then I'm sending the 191st overall pick along with a prospect to the Kraken for Nosek in the 129th. Apparently, we're getting absolutely finessed in this deal, but I don't think we are because we're getting a medium elite goaltender out of the trade, so I think we definitely came out ahead. So heading into the re-sign phase in free agency, we're not making a ton of moves. Nick Robertson, $1.9 million per year for the next 3 years. Wenberg, Liljegren, and a 4th, so off to Tampa Bay for Chernak, and then Robertson, you're going to head over to Philadelphia for Hornquist, a 3rd and a 4th. So heading into this season, I'm changing up the lines a bit and hoping for a different result. At least we can make it out of the first round though, but now that the second round's stopping us, we gotta do something. So hopefully these changes can spark something. Well, they definitely spark something. We're currently 6th in the entire league, but I'm not convinced with this team. 26, 20, and 4th, that's not a good record whatsoever for being 6th in the entire league. Austin Matthews, you're looking decent so far, 28 goals and 26 assists for 54 points, while Samsonov, 20 wins, a 911 save percentage, and 273 goals against. I'm very concerned with this team right now. So at the trade deadline, we're in a really tough situation, 31, 26, and 6. I don't think we can compete for a Stanley Cup and win, but I also don't feel like we should be selling our team. So I'm just going to stick with what we have, and then we'll see what happens. When the season came to an end, it's pretty clear I probably should have made a move. 41, 33, and 8. We're 16th in the entire league, and we're missing the playoffs. That's a tough one. You really hate to see it. Austin Matthews, he's going to lead the way with 95 points, but clearly it's not enough. While Samsonov, he's having an alright season. 33 wins, a 907 save percentage, at 284 goals against. We should have built a better team around you, my guy. That's my fault. Taking a look at the entire league, Sid the Kid's going to lead the way with 110 points, consisting of 41 goals and 59 assists, while Elvis Merzlikins, he's picking up 43 wins with a 913 save percentage at 266 goals against. When the playoffs came to an end, the New Jersey Devils are going to defeat the St. Louis Blues in 7 games. Clearly, that would never happen because St. Louis is just a well-oiled machine. Looking at the top postseason scorers, Jesper Bratt's going to be leading the way with 21 points, consisting of 9 goals and 12 assists, while Vanacek, he's going to be our Stanley Cup winning goaltender, 16 wins, a 931 save percentage, and 202 goals against. Taking a look at the draft lottery results, Philly's going to be jumping from 7 to 1, while the Toronto Maple Leafs are getting the 15th overall pick. We had 4 picks in the draft, and you know what type of GM I am, so we're making some elite selections. So they're by a low elite potential playmaker. The 47th overall pick is going to be packaged up with a 7th rounder to the Kraken for the 39th, and with the 39th overall pick, I'm drafting drafting Marchand, a low elite potential grinder, and then later in the draft, we're getting Yzerman, a medium elite potential goalie. But I think it's time to accept the fact we got to shake this team up. So we're making a bunch of moves here. John Klingberg, I'm shipping you over to the Islanders for a 3rd and a 7th. Tavares, a 3rd, Kotkaniemi in a 7th, going over to Columbus for Jiricek, a 2nd, a 4th, and a 5th. A 2027 second rounder is going to be traded for a 2028 second rounder. Now you might think this is a pointless trade, but there's a reason for it. Jiricek, the 2028 second rounder, a 3rd and a 6th is going to the Habs for Nick Suzuki. Lindgren, you're off to the Canes for a 3rd and a 4th, and then a 1st, a 2nd, 3rd, Bunting, and then another 3rd is off to the Ottawa Senators for Sanderson. The moves aren't done there. Sedin's off to the Oilers for Bouchard in the 4th. Boquist, I'm going to give you a 3-year deal at $2.7 million, and then a 2nd, Jack Quinn, and a 3rd off to Detroit for Zadina. And then Zadina, I'm giving you a 2-year extension at $8.4 million. You're not going to be here for the long haul, but for 1 season, I think you can help this team out. And then the final move is going to be Gilroy, 2 4ths and a 5th over to the Buffalo Sabres for Connor Brown. So this season is going to be a big year for the team. We're either going to dial in and compete, or everything's going to fall apart. And personally, I think it's 50-50 right now. We're either going to succeed, or this is going to be a massive flop. At the 50 game mark, the team's looking pretty solid with a 27-18-5 record, and we're 9th in the entire league. Record-wise, we're actually doing better than last season, but placed in the standings, we're doing worse. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Austin Matthews, of course, he's leading the way like usual with 52 points, while Samsonov, he's got 23 wins with a 910 save percentage and a 266 goals against. At the trade deadline, we're looking alright. We're sitting in a playoff spot with a 33-23-6 record, but once again, I don't want to go all in with this team, so I'm not making any moves. And I definitely should have made some moves. 39-34-9, we're finishing 20th in the entire league and we're missing the playoffs. And over the last 20 games, we went 6-11-3. That's tough. That's real tough. Mitch Marner is going to be leading the team in scoring this season, 29 goals and 54 assists for 83 points, while Samsonov, given the numbers, he was actually locked in. 33 wins, 10 shutouts, a 908 save percentage, and a 267 goals against. The fact that 30% of his wins came from shutouts just shows that he held it down to net. The rest of the team around him definitely needs to step up. Looking at the entire league, Connor McDavid is going to lead the way once again with 99 points, while Vasilevsky, he's going to lead all goaltenders and wins with 41. In the playoffs, Minnesota is going to complete a sweep over the Florida Panthers to win the Stanley Cup, while Connor McDavid, he's leading all postseason scorers, 18 goals, 9 assists, 27 points in only 13 games. He averaged over 2 points a game in the postseason, was knocked out in the second round, and still led all players in postseason scoring. Maybe we should trade for Connor McDavid. I think that would be a great help to this team. And our Stanley Cup winning goaltender from the Minnesota Wild, Igor Shesterkin, 16 wins, a 911 save percentage, and 280 goals against. Heading into the draft, we're making 3 picks, and you might notice one of them happens to be the 5th overall pick, so that means we're making a trade. So in order to acquire the 5th overall pick, I'm going to be trading the 13th, Zadina, and a future 7th to the San Jose Sharks for the 5th overall pick, the 217th, a future 7th, and a future 6th. And with the 5th overall pick, we're drafting St. Pierre, a medium elite playmaker, and then we're going to send the 114th overall pick along with a 7th to the Avs for a second rounder. We ended up getting another solid player in the draft, and that's going to be a low elite defensive defenseman. And now it's time to make some extensions. Sontag, I'm going to give you 5 years at $5.7 million, Timo Meier 6 years at $8.7 million, Jarventi 5 years at $1.6 million, and then a prospect in the 6th is off to Boston for a 2nd in Bouchard's off to Chicago for Bertuzzi, and then Brown's going to Detroit for 2/3. 2 second rounders along with the prospects going over to the Ducks for Drysdale, and then Drysdale, I'm going to give you a 4-year extension at $6.8 million. So I think our team's ready to bounce back after that disappointing season. We retooled the forwards and defense, and now Samsonov just needs to hold up his end. And that's exactly what he's doing, because at the 50 game mark, we're sitting with a 32-15-3 record, and we're 1st in the entire league. Nick Suzuki's leading the way so far, 52 points consisting of 12 goals and 40 assists, while Samsonov, he's got 24 wins with a 912 save percentage and a 271 goals against. At the trade deadline, we're sitting with a 40-20-3 record, so I think we should make at least one trade. And that trade's going to be sending a medium elite potential goalie along with a 4th rounder to the Kings for Turcotte. When the season came to an end, we're going to be finishing 3rd with a 50-28-4 record, and Austin Matthews, he's going to lead the way for the team, 43 goals, 42 assists, 85 points, a solid season from him. And Samsonov, he's doing his usual thing, and he's picking up 37 wins. Looking at the entire league, Jams is going to be leading the way. You know, NHL legend Jams here, 66 goals, 37 assists, 103 points, and John Gibson, 39 wins, a 906 save percentage, and a 291 goals against. He's leading all goaltenders in wins. In the postseason, we got some positives and we got some negatives. The positive, we made the playoffs. The negative, we're falling in the first round to Tampa Bay in 7 games. You hate to see it. And Austin Matthews, 8 points in 7 games, it's just not enough, my guy. I need you to step it up. Taking a look at all postseason scores, Nathan McKinnon's leading the way with 11 goals and 14 assists for 25 points. And our Stanley Cup winning goaltender, of course, that's Anton Forsberg, 16 wins, a 930 save percentage, and a 197 goals against. Anton Forsberg, 35-year-old, 83 overall, Anton Forsberg. Good to see the game's looking realistic. Heading into the draft, we're only making 1 pick, so that means we're making a few moves. The 152nd overall and the 184th is going to be shipped off to the Ducks for a future 3rd, and then the 176th overall is going to be shipped to to the Oilers for a 5th. With those moves in the bag, it's time to make a few re-signings. Turcotte, 3 years at $4.3 million, Kravitsov, 5 years at $3.3 million, and then Kempf, I'm going to send you over to Florida for a 3rd and a 5th. Looking at the entire team, we still have a lot of young pieces, and the core is looking pretty solid. The defense, it contains 3 strong pairings, and I'm not worried about them whatsoever. And Samsonov, I still think he's a pretty reliable guy for us, and I can guarantee you we're going to win a Stanley Cup with him in net. At the 50 game mark, the team's looking fantastic like usual. 32, 17, and 1. We're 3rd in the entire league. Suzuki, he continues to do his thing. 14 goals, 38 assists, 52 points. Keep up the great work. And Samsonov, 23 wins. I got nothing to complain about. At the trade deadline, we're 39, 21, and 1, but I don't really feel like making a trade. 1, because I don't want to give up any of the assets we have, and 2, we don't really have any cap space to work with, so I'd have to trade one of our good players away to bring somebody in, and that just doesn't make sense. When the season came to an end, we're going to finish 2nd in the entire league with a 55, 24, and 3 record, while Nick Suzuki, he's going to lead all scorers with 77 points, consisting of 21 goals and 56 assists, while Samsonov, he's going to have a career year, 42 wins, a 915 save percentage, a 245 goals against. This is the year we win a Stanley Cup. Samsonov's at his peak. We got to do it this season. If we don't, we're never winning one. Speaking of career seasons, Phil Forsberg's having one. He's going to lead the entire league with 104 points, consisting of 44 goals and 60 assists, while Connor Hellebuyck, he's having a career season of his own, 49 wins, a 917 save percentage, and a 256 goals against. Alright guys, it's finally happened. Here we are, the Stanley Cup final. We're taking on the Colorado Avalanche. This team has gone through so much. I've taken over as GM, and we're in year what, 6 of the rebuild? This has taken way too long. Dial in, lock in, do whatever you have to, but win a Stanley Cup. And that's exactly what's happening. The drought is over. The Toronto Maple Leafs, they're Stanley Cup champions. They're taking the Colorado Avalanche down in 6 games. You love to see it, you really do. Austin Matthews, incredible numbers. 14 goals, 15 assists, 29 points. And Samsonov, I knew you would be the guy for us. 16 wins, a 926 save percentage, and a 232 goals against. Thank you, my guy. We wouldn't have been able to do this without you. But if you thought the Stanley Cup run was impressive, you are about to watch the greatest scout, the greatest GM, the greatest whatever I am of all time. Watch what I do here because I'm elite. So first, I'm sending the 32nd overall pick to the Avs for the 57th and a future 2nd. So I'm going to draft Schofield, a medium elite defensive defenseman. Good pick there. Gomez, he's going to be selected next. A medium elite sniper. Then we got Dubois, a medium elite two-way forward. And then we got McAmmon here, a medium elite potential goalie. We're not done. Biggs, low elite defensive defenseman. We're still not done. Chapman, a medium elite goalie. But guys, we're still not done here. The 160th overall pick and the 224th off to the Rangers for the 202nd overall pick and a future 5th. And with that 202nd overall pick, we're drafting Cappy, a low elite offensive defenseman. I drafted 7 players with low elite potential or higher. Call me the scouting GOAT because what I did doesn't make any sense. But now we got ourselves a problem because we have no cap space to bring anyone back. So I gotta do some juggling here. Samsonov, 3 years at $5.6 million. Jung, $6.4 million per year for the next 6 seasons. Bertuzzi, 1 year at $3.7 million. St. Pierre, 6 years at $6.5 million. Timo Meier, you were a big part to the Stanley Cup team, but I gotta free up some cap space. So Meier, a 2nd, a 7th, going to the Stars for Leduc and Gustranov. And then Leduc, I'm giving you an 8-year extension at $4 million per. And Gushanov, I'm going to send you to the Blues for a 7th rounder. I just got to clear up more cap space. Dubois, I know I just drafted you, but I'm going to send you to the Blues for Ferdinand. And then Nielsen in 2 seconds is going to the Carolina Hurricanes for Fernandez. Fernandez, I want to keep you around long term. So 5 years at $5.8 million. And then Sanderson, 3 years at $7.6 million. After winning a Stanley Cup and taking a look at this team, our entire defense is still here with the addition of Fernandez, and our team's looking to complete a repeat. So far through 50 games, the team's still looking fantastic. 29, 17, and 4, and we're 5th in the entire league. And Austin Matthews, he continues to do his thing. 30 goals, 27 assists, 57 points. Keep up the great work. And Samsonov, 22 wins. I'm a bit concerned with your numbers though. A 905 save percentage and 286 goals against. You might be getting to the end of your career. So we got to free up a bit of cap space. And I don't really want to make this move, but I think it's going to work out for us in the long term. Turcotte, 2/3, a 5th, and a 7th is going to the Flames for this guy. I'm not pronouncing that last name. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. I'm trading for him though. And the reason I had to clear that cap space is Nick Suzuki. I got to give you a 6-year deal worth $10.6 million. You've been absolutely elite for this team. You've been carrying the way, and I got to keep you around. When the season came to an end, I made a terrible decision. 42, 32, and 8. We're 13th in the entire league, and I'm incredibly concerned. Austin Matthews, I'm not worried about your season though. 48 goals, 49 assists, 87 points. You're looking elite. And Samsonov, I'm concerned about you. 31 wins, a 908 save percentage, and 277 goals against. I don't want to trade you, my guy, but if I have to trade you for us to be able to compete, you might be gone in the offseason. I'm just going to keep it 100. Looking at the entire league, Connor McDavid is going to have another fantastic fantastic season. He's going to lead the way with 104 points. While Jeremy Swayman, he's picking up 43 wins, a 915 save percentage, and 265 goals against. With Samsonov starting to falter, I got to give Yzerman a 2-year deal here. You never know, he might be our starter next season or even a season after that, but eventually he's going to be taking the reins. The dream of a repeat, of course, is on our minds, but that dream's going to die pretty quick as we're falling in 7 games to the Ottawa Senators in the first round. That's a tough one. That's a real tough one. Austin Matthews, you had 9 points in 7 games. Let's keep it a stack. You lost in the first round. I can't really expect you to have 20 points. Unless your name's Connor McDavid, because he could definitely put up 20 points in 7 games. Looking at all postseason scores, Fraser's going to lead the way. 11 goals, 15 assists, 26 points. And Kosa, 16 wins, a 910 save percentage at 280 goals against. Congrats on the Stanley Cup. So we've got ourselves another big draft, and of course, I'm making big moves. I'm drafting Kane, a medium elite defensive defenseman, Willem, a low elite playmaker, and then Stasiak, a low elite sniper. Heading into the re-sign phase in free agency, moves have to be made. This guy, 3 years at $3.35 million. Still haven't figured out what his name is. Southerby, 5 years at $3.4 million. Furland, 8 years at $3.5 million. And then Bertuzzi, a second and a seventh, going to Arizona for this guy. Somehow the names are getting even more complicated. I'm going to guess on the name, Afansinkov. I'm just going to call him Fan for the rest of this video. And good thing that's what I'm calling him, because I'm about to give him an 8-year extension at $3.6 million. So Fan, you're going to be here for a while. And now it's time to make a very controversial move. Nick Suzuki, a first-round pick, Biggs, and 2 6s going to the Washington Capitals for Sabourin, Vanier, and Lapierre. And then Lapierre, I'm sending you to Philly for a second and a fourth. I don't really need you on the team, but I got to clear up some cap space because Mitch Marner's coming back for the next 4 years at $11 million per. So we're heading into the final few years of the rebuild, and with all the young pieces on this team alongside our older players, I do think we can win at least one more Stanley Cup. At the 50-game mark, the team continues to look great with a 30-14-6 record, and we're 5th in the entire league. This time around, Mitch Marner's leading the way at the 50-game mark. He's got 59 points, consisting of 31 goals and 28 assists, while Samsonov, he's starting to falter. 22 wins, an 899 save percentage, and 298 goals against. I'm going to keep it 100 with you. This is probably your last season here. At the end of the year, though, the team bounced back and we're looking fantastic with a 51-24-7 record, and we're second in the entire league. Mitch Marner, he's going to lead the way with 98 points, while Samsonov, 38 wins is great, but that 897 save percentage and 302 goals against definitely isn't looking great. Checking in on the entire league, Jack Eichel's leading the way with 109 points, while Owen, he's picking up 40 wins with a 905 save percentage and a 282 goals against. Now I don't feel as bad about Samsonov's numbers because this was the top goaltender in the league, and even his save percentage and goals against weren't looking that great. So maybe we do have a chance. But I guess our chance of the Stanley Cup died pretty quick because we lost in 7 games to the Montreal Canadiens. Yeah, this team can't succeed whatsoever. Matthews, 6 points. Absolutely disappointing. But Braden Point, he's picking up 8 goals and 25 assists for 33 points to lead all postseason scorers. And Soderblom, 16 wins, a 918 save percentage and 250 goals against. Somehow Tampa's able to get another 10 years later. So heading into our final year here, there's only a few moves you gotta make. Samsonov, he's gonna be traded to the Blues for a 6th rounder. And Barzell, I'm bringing you in on a 1-year deal worth $6.3 million. Last season wasn't our true selves. Let's just keep it 100. We have one more season to do this. I don't even care if we win a Stanley Cup this season. If 10 years later we lose in the first round, I'm gonna lose my mind. With this final season, no moves are really gonna be made, so I'm just gonna sim right to the end of the year. And when the season came to an end, we're finishing with a 51-25-6 record, and we're finishing 2nd in the entire league. Mitch Marner, he's gonna lead the way in our final season. He's picking up 102 points, consisting of 24 goals and 76 assists, while Yzerman, he's doing his thing in net. 35 wins, but that 894 save percentage and 308 goals against has me very concerned. Taking a look at the entire league, in our final year, Mitch Marner is going to lead the league in points, while Kosa, he's picking up 41 wins with a 906 save percentage and a 281 goals against. And our final postseason appearance, what a surprise. This team's going to fail once again, and we're falling in the 2nd round. At least it wasn't the 1st round, that's all I can say. But there we go. The 10-year rebuild of the Toronto Maple Leafs is complete, and honestly, I'm just going to blame the lack of success on this being the Toronto Maple Leafs. I built a winning team. The regular season record showed that. It's not my fault these guys can't perform in the playoffs. I can't control that whatsoever.